there is one final, very special award. So special, it's called the BAFTA Special Award. Here to present the award is a writer who has lived this industry inside and out. She's worked on titles such as Square Enix's Tomb Raider, BAFTA-nominated Heavenly Sword, and Overlord. Please show your appreciation for Rhianna Pratchett.
Thank you, Danny. Good evening, everyone. It's an honour to be here this evening with you all to present the special award. I was too shy to talk to her the first time I saw Brenda across a crowded GDC floor, but I was glad she was there. Being there matters, especially when you're a fledgling game developer searching for female inspiration in a male-dominated industry, searching for something, anything, that could show you that you belong there too. Brenda was that for me. And being there matters to Brenda too. You can see that in her The Mechanics is the Message series, which uses seemingly simple analog gameplay to devastating effect, conveying the horrors of transporting Jewish prisoners to concentration camps in the multi-award-winning train, or in One Falls for Each of Us, using 50,000 hand-painted pieces to represent Native Americans forced into a death march on the Trail of Tears. Brenda wants us to be there too, and the more uncomfortable it makes us feel, the better. Brenda's history of being there started at 15 after an intense love affair with D&D. She entered the games industry in 1981 and cut her teeth working on the testing and design of the Wizardry series, later moving on to games like Jagged Alliance, the Def Jam franchise, Ghost Recon, and Dungeons & Dragons Heroes. During her time in the industry, Brenda has racked up credits on an impressive 47 games and thankfully shows no signs of stopping. Let's find out a little more about this incredible person.
Games have always been a big part of my life. People sometimes ask me, when did I get into games? And I genuinely don't remember not being into games. I guess the earliest memory that I have of making games is when I'm 5, and we would go to garage sales, like flea markets or whatever, and my mom would give me a dime, and with a dime I could buy a game. But most often the game wouldn't have all of its pieces, so I couldn't really play it. So I just got into the habit of not caring whether I could play the game that I was buying or not. I just wanted the pieces and I wanted the board, so I could flip the board over and make my own board and make my own rules with the pieces. And then when I was 15, I got a job in the industry working at Surtech Software. And my job was, man, it was a dream job. It was an absolute dream job for any 15-year-old. And what I did is I played games and I memorized them. And then when people would call wanting to know how to get to the wizard on the 10th level, I would tell them exactly how to do that. I had an advantage, I guess, in getting them when I was so young in '81, right? That the industry and I grew up together. And in any small company, you're going to just do what needs to be done. And I was also fortunate that at Surtech they were comfortable letting me try a whole range of things. I feel as a game developer, I have an opportunity to do more than just entertain with games. Like some of the games that I've made are about really tragic events in history. I sort of call them documentary games. And sometimes when people still hear that I've made games about these dark historical moments, they'll think like, you made a game about that? Like, could you do that? But games are like any other form of media. In fact, I'd go so far as to say they are better than any other form of media, because not only can I tell you about the system, but I can let you experience complicity in the system. Games can be personally more effective because they can actually let you take part in these events, so you understand the systems, you understand the mechanics of whatever's happening happened. I often get asked about being a woman in the industry, and I think in part that's just because there are a few of us. I mean, when I got into the industry, there were 5 women that I knew of. And so I've certainly seen the industry grow in terms of diversity over the last 36 years. I'm not trying to play games so that I can experience the same stuff I experience in my real life, but I want to play games to Like, I want to see films. I want to watch TV shows that show me something new and something different. And to show me something new and something different, I need people who have seen and grown in something new and something different. And so that's why I'm always excited when new people come into the industry, or when I hear about game development communities that you know, are just rising in specific places, right? Because I know it's going to give rise to new, cool, creative things. So the more voices and the more experiences that we have contributing to games that are being made, to me, the better.
Like the Stevie Nicks of games, Brenda is a pioneer, a vibrant and vital presence with a truly impressive boot collection. An exceptional developer, teacher, Fulbright scholar and speaker, Brenda is constantly extolling the virtues of games as art, activism and ideology, and is a tireless advocate for diversity and creating more welcoming industry. Brenda challenges us to be not only better as developers, but better as people. It is my very great honour to present the BAFTA Special Award to Brenda Romero.
Okay, I'm not going to faint. Hi. I can't believe it's happening. It's still happening. It took me 36 years to get here, so I have a list. But it starts, well, it starts the same way you'd expect it starts. It starts with my mom, who got me Dungeons & Dragons, the original white box, which I still have, when I was 11 years old, even though there were demons in it, and she was Catholic. I don't think she knew. I have to thank BAFTA too, not just for this award, but like I remember when BAFTA started recognizing video games. And to me, that was the single most important move in our entire industry for recognizing us as an art form. Like, I was alive when people asked, what game did they play before they did? I was alive? What? I meant I was in games. Sorry. Well, wait, I wasn't dead in games. I'm just making this confusing. Sorry. But I mean, remembering people saying things that games were bad or that games were wastes of time, and instead BAFTA said, no, they're art and they deserve to be recognized. So thank you for that. So I need to thank Gary Gygax, Jeff Perrin for Chainmail, and Dave Arneson, Gygax and Arneson for D&D. I have to thank Robert Woodhead and Andrew Greenberg and David Bradley for Wizardry, of course. Let's see. And one of my dearest friends, who was an advocate for me before I knew what I even wanted to do, David Gibo, who has memorized every Academy Award winner, and I hope I can be an answer in his trivia game someday now. I also have to say, like, being in the industry 36 years, you don't get here on your own. So for every team member I've worked with, I haven't always been great. I've had a lot to learn, and I learned from you, and that means everything. Also, the people who encouraged me to make those analog games, even though I thought it was very different at the time, specifically Ian Schreiber and Steve Moretsky and John Sharp and Ian Bagost. I have to thank the University of Limerick that lets me teach, which I love to do, and also remain a practicing game developer. Oh, let's see, to my team, my current team at Romero Games, Keith and Ronan and Chris and Ian and yet another Ian. We don't need any more Ians. And Darius. Right now I'm making the game I've literally wanted to make since I was a kid. So I'm very excited. I know my kids are watching at home. Lilia, Mesa, Donovan, and Avalon, they're afraid of what I'm going to say. But they're the absolute best people in my world, and we play games together and we make games together, so thank you for understanding that games are life. And last and most importantly, John Romero, the absolute love of my life, my best friend. You're the greatest thing ever. If anybody can beat him in deathmatch, I'll pay you. That's not written down, I'm sorry. But it seems like a good platform to beg for it. But thank you so much. My life is so incredibly wonderful with you. You're just a great man, and I love you very much. And lastly, to the game industry, you have literally raised me from the time I was 15. I have played almost all of your games. I applauded my hands into pain tonight because I love the work that you've done. So thank you for giving me a home, thank you for being my family, and thank you for raising me. Thank you.
Congratulations, amazing achievement. I mean, what does gaming mean to you as a storyteller, as an artist, as a designer? Like, how do you sum it up?
I mean, games are my life, right? So what does life mean to me? I mean, if I'm alive, I'm working on games, or I'm talking about games, or I'm thinking about games, or whatever it is that's around me may inspire a game. I mean, games mean everything to me. They really, I know that sounds ridiculous, but like people get callings, you know, and maybe they're really noble callings, right? But my calling was games.
So how did you know that it was your calling?
Because it's all I've ever done. I started making games. I don't remember not making games.
That's amazing.
Like I don't remember not making games. I started making them when I was about 5.
That's incredible.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that like literally your earliest memory?
Yeah, it's not my earliest memory, but I remember making games when I was 5. Yeah, I remember being really excited about flipping board games over. I was ruining, like I would get a new board game and I'd ruin it.
Just trying to take it apart.
Well, because I wanted the board. I wanted the other side of the board so I could make it.
That's so amazing. I mean, what do you feel like the industry today, like how do you feel about where it's going?
Oh, it's super excited.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the stuff that was mentioned tonight, from That Dragon Cancer, or that was nominated, sorry, from That Dragon Cancer to...
it won Game of Innovation.
Wasn't it great?
I know.
Oh, I know, I stood up. I was so excited. I wanted to see him stand up and get it too. Just the different voices that we're hearing, you know? It's like the range of games. It's not just what are the top selling genres. It's, you know, it's people who want to take a chance, and those chances are being recognized. And I think getting these awards will send the signals, you know, to the people who can actually help sponsor these games, so to speak, that games like this are worthy of being made, not just culturally, which of course they are, but financially as well.
And I don't think it's always been that case. I think that, like, you know, it just seems to be really recently that we're seeing diverse voices and people who, you know, maybe 20 years ago wouldn't have had a chance to make the game that they want to make.
Or 40 years ago they may have, you know, like 40 years ago we saw, like tonight, you know, when Naveed was on stage and he said, I'm a kid from Iran, you know, like a kid from Iran. Nasser Jabeli is one of my great heroes, and I forgot to mention, Nasser Jabeli was a kid from Iran, and he was also the sole coder of Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. You know, so he's, you know, there's a lot of amazing voices, and I think the bigger the teams get, the easier it is for us for the individual stories and the individual people to get lost. But I think now that there's more tools to make games, we're starting to see games made by smaller groups of people, and those smaller groups of people make a difference.
Do you think that there's more that the industry could be doing to be more inclusive, or do you think that we're already taking?
Of course, man. Of course there is. I mean, there's a lot more that we could do to be inclusive, you know, but I mean, where are the horizons? Like, you know, there aren't any. So more and more people are coming up who want to make games. You know, in my own household, I have 2 daughters who want to make games and 1 son, so he's already outnumbered.
And they could not possibly be in a better position to make games.
Maybe true.
Did they have that thirst that you recognize in yourself?
And it's not that absolutely. It's not that we. I don't know. I mean, growing up in our house, maybe the odds are stacked against you.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's not like, you know, it could have been like a niche thing for them to get into.
No, it's probably stacked against them.
But do you have like a favorite moment throughout, like, of all the games you worked on? Do you have a moment that really sort of stands out to you?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Can I do a couple?
Of course you can.
All right.
You're holding the award, girl.
Probably the first one was when on Mother's Day.
Okay.
On Mother's Day, when my daughter gave me a book, and inside it said, the one thing that I can't wait, the one thing I want to do with you that I can't wait for, and she said she wants to make a video game with me. So that just, you know, wow, that was amazing. And then just recently with Gunman Taco Truck when Donovan, when I told Donovan how much money the game had made, which by any commercial game standards, nobody's going to be, you know, because we have no marketing, there is nothing, right? So, but it paid for his college fees, and we're letting him have 25% of it, right? So, and watching his face, just like this little smile that he gets, because he doesn't really know how to quite comprehend that, you know, he's 12.
Yeah.
And watching that little smile, man, it was, you know, it just melted my heart.
That's really going to stay
For
with you
a game
as
developer
well.
parent, that's about as great as it gets, you know. Yeah.
So what does this recognition from your peers mean to you?
Oh God, I don't know. You know, I think it'll take me a month to process it, but listening to what Rihanna was saying, you know, I had no idea. I had no idea that I had that effect on her, you know?
Isn't that
like,
so
and when
beautiful?
I met her, I remember meeting her, and I remember thinking like, oh my God, it's Rihanna Practice.
And she's made such waves as well.
I'm
It's
sure
incredible.
she has, you know? So to hear her say that, I had no idea. But I suspect it's just like, you know, Danny Barry didn't know that her games just overwhelmingly influenced me, or that Gary Gygax had any idea that, you know, I had basically found unlimited creativity in this white box.
Amazing.
You know? So I guess we don't necessarily know the waves that we make.
Well, this is it. But, you know, I think that's one step towards
I can't
recognizing
believe
it.
this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being you and just being amazing.
Oh, thank you.